Welcome everyone to the number one DeFi podcast on YouTube. I'm here with a special guest, Tyler, our head of research here at Decentralized Masters. It's going to be very, very exciting. You guys are going to get some inside information about a few tokens he might have in mind. I'm not too sure what he's going to share, so it's going to be a surprise for myself as well. How's your day going so far, Tyler?
Not too shabby, not too shabby. Had a nice market update with Tana and Salim earlier, so it was good.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I hope everybody that's watching was able to join us on that. Um, what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to go over quickly over crypto bubbles. Just give me your thoughts about this, and then I'll just go ahead and have you share some charts. I definitely want to see what's in your mind with what we have going on in the markets these next coming weeks, especially with the rate cuts that, of course, we all knew wasn't going to happen yesterday. But now, apparently, also September might not be the case. What are your thoughts about that, man?
Oh man, so I was actually listening to JPow speak yesterday during all of that, and there were a few things that stood out to me really. So for one, yeah, like you said, we weren't expecting any rate cuts. It was forecasted to stay in that 4.25 to 4.5% range. But what's interesting is he came out and basically said, from this metric, the U.S. economy is doing well. And so we feel no need to cut the rates. Now, again, Powell is not the only one that sets the rates. It's a committee that votes on that, which did not vote unanimously not to cut rates. It was a 9-2 decision not to do so. But there were two dissenters on that one. But one thing that it really talked about was because we're seeing this degree of strength. Yesterday's GDP numbers came in, growth rate was higher than forecasted. The price index was lower than forecasted, which is what we want. And so looking at all of that, you're saying, well, I know we had talked about, 2 rate cuts this year and potentially more going into the next year. But right now we don't really necessarily need it, right? You cut rates whenever you're seeing a stagnant economy, a struggling economy, and maybe on some metrics you could say yes, it is a struggling economy, but this strong confidence to basically say, yeah, we might not need the 2 rate cuts this year, has led directly into how the DXY's performance, the US dollar's performance over the last few days. It has just absolutely skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'm gonna have you cover that shortly. It's pretty interesting. I wasn't really expecting that. I was almost pretty confident last couple months ago September was going to be the time, the month, and now after listening to yesterday's meeting, yeah, I'm a little bit like, are rate cuts even going to happen? Like, and typically once we start to have rate cuts is usually when risk on behavior starts to kick in the market. So I'm really curious to see like what's really going to happen next. Like what are your thoughts right here moving forward? Like, do you think you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and leave that for you to show us with some charts if you can with the DXY. But yeah, man, I definitely want to know a little bit more about that. We'll touch up on that. I do see there's some viewers in here already coming in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay in. Tyler's going to go ahead and share a lot of some really good information. I'm going to go ahead and start off with crypto bubbles, take a look at what's going on, take a look at fear and greed, and then I'm going to pivot it over to Tyler so you could go ahead, go into a little bit more detail about what he thinks he could be expecting in the next coming weeks, months with the announcements of what was announced yesterday. So looking at crypto bubbles all across the board, as we see on the weekly, a little bit of red, more of a correction. I believe you called this ahead of time too, right? You had some shorts open last week, Tyler?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I run shorts pretty often, provided the market is wanting me to at least hedge. I do run a lot of shorts just for hedging purposes, anyways, but not actively shorting it beyond the hedges per se. Just because, I mean, this information, a lot of the trade deals, a lot of things that are going on, is really making it such that while the DXY is running right this second, we're setting ourselves up for a potentially risk on environment sooner, honestly, sooner than we really expected. But
that's good to hear. That's good to hear because I've been thinking the same thing. Like I remember last last month, last 2 months, I was mentioning to all of our members in our community, and as well here on live stream, that the way these markets move, it's like sometimes you'll see no movement, and then out of nowhere, you'll see all that movement happen like less than a week. I mean, look at Ethereum. Ethereum was like pretty much almost dead for the last couple years, and basically outperformed Bitcoin in like less than 2 to 3 months. So it's pretty interesting how quick this market moves, and the fact that Bitcoin almost hit that. I think what was our high? 100 and something thousand, 120,
123 technically.
123. My price prediction was 125. I'm like, well, by 125, we'll probably hit that by the end of July.
Just shy of it.
So I was shy off of that, man. But that's one of the biggest things I mentioned. Like the markets just move so aggressively, and I'm talking about markets moving aggressively. Like, what the heck is going on with Hex and Pulse X? Like what is this?
Well,
72%.
Hex and Pulse Chain. I mean, just those two alone tell me that Richard Hart has woken up and come out of his cave for his yearly sighting. I wonder if he's gonna see his shadow or not today. But yeah, I mean, they're both, putting it mildly, Pulse Chain, Hex. They're both very skinny projects out there, and seeing that pump, and I know that there's somebody that's going to get really excited about seeing that, but I don't know how long that's going to be lasting. There are a couple of other names on that screen though, the crypto bubbles, that stand out to me though.
Which ones?
So IP Story Protocol and CFX Conflux. Those are two that I actually was just talking about in gyms this last Thursday on the 24th. So, Conflux that day was trading around 17 cents. It's up right now, even though it's pulled back a little bit. It's up to about 21 cents right now. Wow. But it peaked at like 25 cents a couple of days ago. So decent return on that already.
Yeah, on the monthly, 184%. Wow.
But
what is Conflux? What is this token? Like, what is its utility? Is it an exchange?
Yeah, Conflux is one of the only blockchains that China has actually come out and said, "Hey, we like this one. We're cool with this one." So yeah, of all things, really, if you go to the Conflux site, it's one of those sites that it kind of reminds you of like early Web 2 with like the web development type days. The website's it doesn't breed a lot of confidence by any means, but I dug into it, and yeah, it's one that China's very, very happy about. But look, I mean, this is, you could get an AI to do a better website than this in 30 seconds, honestly. But the other one,
hey, it's not as bad as I've seen other platforms do, man. Like this, it's okay. It's not the best, but like yeah, I totally agree with you on this.
I guess I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to that. I won't lie. Obviously, the design of the website doesn't necessarily mean that the project is a good or a bad thing. It's just something that immediately is like, okay, here we go, here we go. High throughput blockchain, never heard that one before. Ooh, a secure blockchain, never heard that one before. Staking, what? That's a novel concept. Never heard that one before. But we did cover Conflux, mostly less to do with the fundamental nature, but more so the technical nature, because we did have a huge breakout.
Or just mostly just technicals and charts. Is that what really got your attention?
Yeah, literally just technicals. It had a huge breakout on the 20th, so not this previous Sunday, but the Sunday before that. Huge breakout. It retraced, so it went up to 25 cents, and then it retraced down to 16 cents a day later, and said, all right, I see that. I see that big retracement right there. And as a result, I could see a push onwards up out of that. So
yeah. Are you trading these on leverage?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I do see they're listed on some exchanges right here that offer leverage trading, like Mexi and what is this? BingX, OKX.
Oh no, I've been in the market long enough to know that if I want to do anything on significant leverage, I'll just write a bot for that. I'll run my bots for that, and even honestly, even the bots that I'm running right now, I run low leverage on anyways. Crypto's just way too volatile.
Yeah.
And who's got the time and an emotional energy? I'm in my 30s, so I don't have that kind of emotional energy. I still got 2 kids to deal with at the end of the day. Can't be draining myself on 100x perpetuals, right?
Hey, you're still young, man. You're still young.
Oh, thank you. The grays are creeping in, but
When you start saying I'm like already in my 30s, you're starting to make me feel old, man. I'm 26 and I'm almost around that corner. So
you say that, but I need your skincare routine, man. That's for damn sure. You shine in the light. But
appreciate that.
but yeah, the other token that really stood out to me was IP, which is Story Protocol. And so I'll actually, if I'm able to share my
Yeah. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here with you. Oops. There you go. I thought I ended the stream. I was like, hopefully I did not end the stream. Okay, you should be able to share your screen now. Here, can you add it to the stage? There you go.
Yeah, so Story is an interesting one to say the least, right? So I covered it, I believe, on day 2, the first day or the second day that it was released. I mean, back in early February. Yeah, we got in real early. Depending on what exchange you went on, it ran up to like $9. OKX went up to $9. Coinbase went up to $9. Binance, I think it only went up like 7 or so. But still a huge run right away. And Story Protocol is kind of an interesting one for me because, for one, fantastic white paper. I'm a sucker for a good white paper, especially if you're able to keep it concise and still convey what you want to do, why it's unique, and how you're going to actually go about doing so without having to go into 40 pages of hard math. I love calculus. I'm a big nerd for math. However, I don't want to be having to do calculus just to get through a white paper. So love them for that. But it's an A16Z backed project, huge investment from A16Z, several investments from them, as well as really some other really big names there. But very interesting trends happened, right? So right after all of this, there's a huge wave of FUD that came out. Huge wave of FUD. This is an investor shill. This is there's no actual substance to this, and I mean the whole point is to have a blockchain that is specifically for IP verification and IP monetization. So being able to monetize your name and likeness, your Twitter name or whatever, you're able to actually tie it into your Twitter. There's all sorts of different projects on Story. I won't get too deep into that, but it's very niche. However, it serves a very needed purpose. I mean, IP on blockchain is a huge deal.
Where do you see it going from here? Because I do see right here it just broke out of this inverse, really ugly looking inverse head and shoulders pattern, but it broke out. Do you think we're going to see this continuation to the upside? Or are you waiting for a retracement? What do you think would be a good thing to do for our viewers right now that are watching that might be considering of jumping into Stone? Would you personally start buying in at these levels right now, or would you wait for some key areas that you're looking at?
Yeah, I'd probably. I mean, as much as I would, I was already hoping for it pull back to like 470 or so. But I mean, even this 236 fib, just based on this low and this high right there, 236 fibs showing like 560, roughly 560, maybe $5 entry below that as reasonable enough entries. But the big thing that I think is sustaining this breakout right now, not only is it obviously a huge technical breakout, there's quite a bit of volume that kind of helped push it past there. But I was looking at DeFi Llama and looking at the TVL stats on the chain and seeing the trends there. And interestingly enough, the protocols that were generating the greatest growth in TVL were all liquid staking protocols. And normally, whenever we see a liquid staking protocol, as someplace that's getting a lot of new TVL, that's as a result of people saying, all right, well, I believe in this project, I'm going to put it on chain. And yeah, I see it pulling back, but I absolutely see it setting some new highs. I mean, this growth here has been pretty steady. There's there's been consistent articles about it. There's been greater buy pressure than selling pressure recently. More people staking it on chain. Heck, there's one protocol on there that if you do a liquid staked IP, the token that you receive it's called VIP, which, funny enough, is a token that you're able to access to be able to get into like alpha groups and that kind of stuff. So
That's so cool.
yeah, it's like a double use liquid stake.
It's almost like an NFT, kind of.
Yeah. Plus, you're earning, I think, like 6.5% yield on story as is by going through there. I believe the site is Vario.
Okay.
Yeah, Vario Network.
So what wallets are you using to hold on to IP? It's not it's not an ERC20, is it?
Well, technically, it was created as a Cosmos SDK, or created with the Cosmos SDK, so it is a Cosmos chain. However, it's fully EVM compatible, so I just use.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
you
really?
you can access it from dBridge. You can, it's readily available. But yeah, nice. 6.5% for VIP. Plus, yeah, you're able to get in on further insights beyond that. So I thought that was
that's really neat. It's really neat. My question I have for you, you mentioned earlier a little bit about the dollar. There you go.
You read your mind.
Oh no, inverse head and shoulders on the dollar. That's not what I like to see. So tell me about what your thoughts are here, and what do you expect us to go moving forward? I mean, we're also almost entering. We're not really in the corner of Q4, but I feel like we already are. I feel like moving forward from here in the next coming months, Q4 is like we just blink and we're already in Q4 holiday season. So I'm a little bit surprised to see the dollar right here going up. Can you tell me about your thoughts here? What do you expect in the next coming weeks? And the Fed talked about rate cuts a few months ago, September. Now it's not looking too confident. So what does that mean for altcoins?
Yeah, so I'm thinking short-term pain and long-term gain. I know we hear that a lot from all sorts of different parties for all sorts of different reasons. Heard a lot because of the tariffs and all that, but it's the truth here, right? So there's two things that I think are really sustaining this current DXY pump. And mind you, this July, not only is it the first green month of the dollar the entire year, only time that the dollar's been green all year, but it's also the greatest growth, I believe, in the DXY in 6 years after hitting a 4-year low. So so 4-year low last time it was this low was, or almost 4 years, sorry, 3.5 years. So early 2022 was the last time it was this low, but the last time we saw this strength within a month itself was 2019. Let me just reset track view there. But the strength is really coming off of the fact that we have the EU tariffs kind of reinstated. It's strange. The 15% tariff was actually a relic of the Biden era that effectively just threw all sorts of hoops that were jumped through, just got reinstated eventually. So 15% tariff on exports. Most exports from Europe. We had the talks between U.S. and China in Sweden about extending the deadline from the first and further onwards. We've got deals with all sorts of other countries that are starting to go off. Not necessarily deals, but certainty at least coming from this. That mixed with the positive GDP data we saw yesterday, which, looking at the hard numbers, believe the growth rate quarter over quarter was forecasted at 2.4%. Yeah, forecasted 2.4% after a quarter over quarter of negative 0.5%. Right, that was a terrible quarter right there. But then we've got we actually came in at 3% growth, which huge growth there. The price index, we want this to go down. Remember, this is really high. We're all hurting. So prior period is 3.8%, forecasted 2.2%, actually came in below that. So some stellar GDP data. And then Powell coming on saying, we had the best meeting that we've had in recent history that I can remember. Fantastic meeting. I loved it. And came out there saying, the economy is great. We don't need to cut rates. Actually, we might even curb the rates that are coming up. All those things bode well effectively for the image of the U.S. economy. Maybe not to us in the U.S., but foreign investors hearing, all right, this is a really positive thing for the market. This is really positive. It's really positive. It's really positive. And especially after 6 months of just killer decline on the dollar.
Yeah.
I mean,
I question the data, man. I question the data that we're given because their data says otherwise. And if you just look around, what's going on globally and all around. It's just like it just doesn't add up with what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, Bank of America's over here saying, "Oh, the dollar is going to collapse," and I'm over here looking at the dollar relative to relative to the M2 and saying it's going to collapse. What are you saying?
Yeah,
It's going to collapse. It's literally
looks
been
like strength
collapsing
is
since the
picking
day I
up.
was
Yeah,
born. We're down 83% since I was born, so it's still an absolute mess. But
it's a meme coin.
yeah, oh, it really is. It really is, and I think that the dollar actually has. I might be digging too deep here, but the dollar is the way that the dollar is actually structured, fiat dollar is a huge cause of a lot of issues in the current society. Obviously, there's plenty of other factors out there, but it's played a big role. I mean, we're all getting screwed, at the grocery store by the devalued dollar. So now that the dollar's pumping, it's doing two things. And this inverse head and shoulders, like you saw right away. Oh, I don't want to see that on the dollar.
Yeah.
You know, after 6 months of pain, I actually am cool with seeing it. And again, I'm thinking short-term pain because everything that we are dealing with, we're dealing with stocks, we're dealing with foreign currencies, we're dealing with cryptocurrencies, we're dealing with metals, all those things that we're dealing with and trading with, those are coming out in we're all pricing those in terms of the US dollar. So
Yeah.
if the dollar is getting stronger, the prices of all those things are naturally going to decline. Your cells, some sort of
Right.
cascade effect, and that's what we've seen in altcoins, especially, and
Yeah.
several stocks out there. It's been a kind of a tumultuous, relatively volatile week
And that's
relative
what I was
to
going to mention
then.
too. I wanted to mention that too. I wanted to add a little bit to this was talking about what you just mentioned a bit about stocks. Like, I think what we're going to be seeing right now, I think it's a healthy thing. If you look at the stock market, we literally did the V-shaped recovery of what we did around the pandemic, if not more aggressively. We actually fell down a little bit more aggressively than we did during the pandemic. When you pull out that chart, it's freaking amazing when you go back.
Well, it's a lot of the
Um,
same thing that's going on. U.S. dollar falling. It's just really due to the fact that the dollar has devalued that much that we're just pricing everything that higher. So it's not necessarily that the
yeah,
stock market has truly recovered. It's just that the dollar is that piss poor right this
yeah,
second
yeah, and
that
they
we've
would
got this
rather throw their money
facade.
into stocks, right? They would rather throw their money into stocks than throw it into the dollar or mostly gold. Because we also had a nice little run up on gold back in December, about almost I think it did 40% in less than 6 months, a little bit over
Yeah, it was
thirty
crazy.
percent. That's insane. That's really crazy for gold. I wasn't really expecting that. Um, so
I was.
so 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 what do you think we're going to see? So do you think what basically with what you said and what I understood, you're thinking that right now we're just going to be on this little cool down period. We're going to see altcoins probably slow down a little bit more, but overall you still see positivity in the next coming months.
Yes, and it boils down to psychology. I think at the end, at the end of it all, right? So yes, while I'm seeing the short term pain just due to the rising dollar, as consumers, like the big thing that's really missed from this bull run from cryptocurrency is retail. If we look at
Yeah,
Bitcoin demand, there's institutional interest is going like this, retail is going like this, right? Going straight down.
yeah,
There's no retail participating, and it's mostly due to the fact that, well, for one, especially on Bitcoin prices are high as all hell. But a lot of normal people that would be in retail are, instead of spending they're spending their money at the grocery store, they're spending their money on
exactly.
bills, those things first and foremost, instead of speculative cryptocurrencies. But with the
Yeah,
DXY rising, and especially, again, if it rises up very quickly, we see that pain. But if it's a stair step upwards and it works its way back up to being strong like it was at the beginning of the year, 2024, we could see that playing back into our psyches and saying, all right, well, our dollar's stronger again. Maybe fingers crossed that we see some relief, for
yeah,
certain necessities. Fingers crossed. I know that there's greedy corporations out there that will say, all right, well, you're paying the higher prices. We're never bringing that down.
yeah,
But I expect there to be some relief in that from the fact that the dollar is rising back up. We can see some, gas at lower levels. We can see groceries at lower levels theoretically,
so
and
you're basically
we
saying
have money
the
left over.
psychological you're basically saying the psychological aspect of the dollar rising is going to bring in confidence to the people, which could correlate into confidence in the market. Correct?
Yeah, and that meshes really well with where Wall Street is currently at with cryptocurrency. Wall Street has gotten over the novelty of Bitcoin, and their main focus right now, maybe not the main focus of everybody, but a major focus is shifted to Ethereum. You've got asset managers that are now saying, all right, well, Bitcoin has done better for our portfolios than practically anything else has in years. Let's see what's next. And you see I'll pull up accumulator
Yeah,
address.
that Ethereum chart looks amazing, man.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of things on Ethereum that are really standing out.
They just broke through so many levels. I feel still pretty bullish on ETH. I mean, I do know that it's near resistance right now, but I think as long as it holds from here and consolidates for a while, we probably could see a continuation to the upside without a major correction. I don't know. That's what I'm looking at in my eyes.
Yeah, so two things. For one, on Ethereum, disaggregated open interest. Looking
Can
over
you
time.
explain a little bit open interest to our viewers right now that are watching? Just simplify it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best to simplify. But with open interest, theoretically, whenever you're dealing with an order book on an exchange, decentralized exchange, wherever it is, if you're dealing with an order book, you either have market orders or limit orders. You have market orders. You're either taking something that's off the book, so somebody has said, "All right, I'm going to sell something at X price. If we're at that price, you're going to be taking their order and filling their order," or you could be the one placing an order as a limit order, saying, "All right, well, I want to buy at this lower price. If the price gets down there, fill that. If the price gets up here, sell it." There's more orders going onto these order books. There's more literal actual interest as well. I mean, you look at it from both of those perspectives, but there's just more activity. There's more order books. There's more people trying to get in at lower levels or sell or take, setting take profits or whatever the factor is. But usually whenever I have an increasing open interest, especially in the crypto market where we have a very strong bullish bias, seeing an open interest increase is really giving us strength for the future. And we've got this huge discrepancy where we have, this very strong uptrend in open interest,
Wow.
while the price is kind of, hit a few different peaks. The additional thing beyond that is the fundamental nature of Ethereum has gotten so much better recently. Yeah. There's huge inflows both from the layer 2s back into the main layer or from other blockchains out there going into Ethereum because it's a lot cheaper to use. There's a lot of institutional money flowing in. We're seeing Aave, Curve, Ethena. I saw on your bubble maps that bubble Ethena maps, was up. We're seeing all of that play out.
And don't forget the CBs too, the CBBTC, the CBXRP now. I think that's definitely going to bring in a lot of liquidity into the DeFi markets as well, because now you can use Bitcoin to provide liquidity, which is really neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not letting me sign into CryptoQuant right this second. I don't know why the button's not working, but I was going to show the accumulator address for Ethereum. Basically, the big names, the amount of inflow that they have had recently, it's been huge. I mean, Ethereum. I've got some notes from my market update on Monday. Ethereum ETF inflows were around $450 million, which extended the daily inflow streak to like 16 days at that point. I don't know if that is maintained. That was as of Monday, but just, the Ethereum demand, Ethereum inflows, really the acceptance of it, as we've seen Bitcoin dominance fall down in favor of Ethereum dominance. So we have Bitcoin dominance coming down. Yeah, it's got this.
You think Bitcoin dominance will rise from these levels and actually try to reclaim from where it was at its highs, or do you think we're gonna see a breakdown right here?
I'm looking at this kind of like this bearish pennant that's going on right this second. I don't have the most strength in Bitcoin dominance. That isn't to say that I don't think the Bitcoin price will increase. I actually want to see what the
right. That's one thing too. I always mention a lot of people is that Bitcoin dominance doesn't really correlate too much with the price, because Bitcoin dominance could be shifting down as the price is going up, and that's actually what we saw these last couple of weeks when we were seeing ETH pick up in strength. We were seeing Bitcoin pick up too, but dominance fell down aggressively.
Yeah. So like this is one chart that I watch pretty closely. So this is total 3 ES BTC.
Hey, Travis is watching. What's up, Travis?
Oh, hey, Travis.
He said, "What's up? Huge fan." Yeah, Tyler has a lot of fans. Welcome in, man.
Yeah, some would say that I only have fans. But yeah, this is a chart that I really like to watch. So this is total 3 ES BTC.
Travis said you have a solid beard.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't used to like beards, but then they grew on me. But yeah, so this chart here, what this really does is this is total 3, which is the total cryptocurrency market cap except for Ethereum and Bitcoin.
Okay.
The ES is excluding stables. So you're taking USDT, USDC, USDS, USDE, taking those out of the question, and then putting it relative to Bitcoin.
Okay. So
this is truly one of the best altcoin season charts that I can think of out there.
Total 3. What is it? Total
3 ES BTC.
I'm gonna have to take a picture of this because I've never seen this chart in my life. So I'm learning something new right now. I mean, I always learn something new when I'm in calls with you. So appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing how this works. So let's tell us. So tell us how this works.
Yeah. So again, you're taking everything like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then the stable coins, those types of things that would really skew the market. And again, you're not considering those things to be altcoins. Some people will consider Solana and below to be altcoins, or BNB, and those also to be altcoins, right? So we're still keeping Solana, XRP, BNB, Cardano in the picture. I mean, they are currencies, and they do have typically a greater correlation with other altcoins than they do Bitcoin, ETH. But it's taking those out of the question and then putting it relative to Bitcoin. So if this goes up, that's showing altcoins are the leaders in this market. If it's going down, Bitcoin is the leader in the market, and it's actually kind of like an inverse.
I literally saw that right now. I was about to say that.
Yeah, it's quite literally an inverse of the Bitcoin dominance.
Yeah.
So, obviously there's a few additional factors in here to make it slightly different than just a pure Bitcoin dominance inverse.
Right.
But that's, I mean, we can really look at the trend on this and say, all right, well, it's effectively a downtrend. We had this pretty strong level of previously support, now kind of resistance that we're still dealing with. I mean, this is as much of a Bitcoin market as I can think of.
Yeah.
But if we get the proper risk on environment with volume, I absolutely could see us breaking out of this. And I mean, this was the 2021 bull run, right?
And that alone almost looked like an inverse head and shoulders pattern right there.
Yeah. I mean, that was whatever. Bitcoin was even doing well during that. Altcoins were just that much stronger. But yeah, this is definitely one of those charts that I like to watch. The total 3.
Wow. So 3-day chart is better to watch. Is that what your preference? Or when it comes to looking at it?
So the 3-day chart, I only use 3-day chart for this one prediction indicator that I wrote. This is looking at Monte Carlo and log returns. I have it predicting 10 bars in advance, and so a 3-day chart with 10 bars in advance is effectively a 1 month prediction. But I mean, 3 days I get plenty of view. It's just as long as I can see everything that's relevant, daily, weekly, doesn't really matter. And we're not exactly at any true inflection point. I mean, in short term, we have this head and shoulders, or not head and shoulders, cup and handle pattern right there that could play out well. I mean, that could
cup and handle and inverse too. I see both of those right there.
Yeah, I mean, technically you've got shoulders here and a head here, and pretty strong neckline on that.
Yeah. That's what we're actually seeing with a lot of altcoins too. We're actually seeing that with Ondo. Ondo's having a very same correlation right now with this, with the total. Whoa, how'd you get that going?
It was an accident. I usually use cross for my cursor, and I had accidentally clicked on magic, and I was like, what the heck is magic?
I've never seen that. Uh,
Sorry, I digress. I digress. I pressed a button and it made me happy. As my wife says, I'm always pressing buttons.
uh, this is a really interesting chart. I've never seen this. I'm definitely going to be using this now to my advantage, and it's really interesting to see how a lot of these alts are also showing basically the same signs with what you just showed us right now. Um, is there any kind of red flags that you're seeing in the near future? Like one of the biggest things that I personally think that this is just a personal opinion, not like with facts, but I kind of have a feeling that this time when we start to have the market run up and we start to see the altcoins run up, I feel like it's not going to last as long as it used to in the
No,
previous cycles. I think it's going to happen
not
so quick, and I think greed is going to kick in so fast, and maybe retail now starts to kick in, and that I think that would be like the end. So like I really think that like when altcoin season does begin, I think it's going to be very very fast and over with. Because we're with what we've been seeing, we've seen a delay with ETH right for a while. So what are your thoughts with that? Do you think we're going to see the same? A lot of people are talking about the super cycle narrative. I mean, now we're seeing the Fed saying maybe we don't cut rates this year. Like, does that mean maybe we do get a super cycle of what everyone dreams about and talks about? I still don't. I'm still not on the hype train with the super cycle happening. I think I don't see that coming, but I'd definitely like to see your point of view here.
Yeah. If we keep the status quo, right? If we just keep things how they are right now, we are absolutely in a period where we're not seeing full on, cycles. We're in the season that we usually are talking about, maybe a year and a half. Now we're talking about actual seasonal length, right? Like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe also do well in the fall or October or something like that. It'll definitely be shorter periods, more interspersed periods. And that's mostly, honestly, due to the overall institutional activity in cryptocurrency now relative to what it used to be. It used to be driven purely by retail and used to pump like crazy. Now with Bitcoin kind of doing its own thing and being its own beast and having different controllers, the market's absolutely fundamentally different to where the altcoin will look and feel quite a bit more different. And that's why, encouraging active profit taking instead of waiting for the 5x, the 10x, the 100x type deal.
yeah,
However, again, that was if we keep the status quo. May of 2026, I have my eyes on that period because that's when Powell's term theoretically would end, provided he's not, forced out. I honestly don't see him leaving early. It's possible, but if all else fails, that's the day that we're looking at to excise Powell, and the most likely replacement would be Besant. And Besant is very much in line with the current administration. And I mean, not quite as far in line as being told 300 basis point cuts, like what Trump was saying, like I don't know, a week or two ago. I don't think we're gonna see anything like that by any means. But with him coming in, we'll see new mandates, and we'll see just a different structured Fed with different goals, and very likely to see one or two things happen. We've got with under Bass be very likely to see those rate cuts and again go in line with what the admin is wanting, rate cuts, and then also we're getting to a point where we might see the money printer potentially turned on. Now, different scenarios on that with the way that inflation,
so
the
this is
jobs market are.
2026 we're talking, or you think end of 2025? Is
Oh,
Treasury end of
I'm
2025?
thinking sooner rather than later on the money printer. I mean, yes, we're on an uptrend right this second, but I think sooner rather than later we see a breakout on the M2.
Yeah, especially
And
with Q4 around the corner too. Like I just don't see them not doing anything for Q4. Like that would definitely affect a lot of companies when it comes to expenses, right? Because usually most
tariff
companies really
effects.
perform the best during holiday season.
Yeah,
A lot of companies are pretty dead throughout the season. And holiday season Q4 is where everybody makes up for that dead period, right? Especially right now with scarcity of tariffs and not being uncertain on what's going to happen with the economy. I think people have cooled down on also luxury spending, which is a really big thing when it comes to how consumers are feeling, right?
Well,
So,
heck, I could go out and get a new Porsche for less than upgrading my house by 500 square feet would cost me an increase in mortgage.
yep.
So
but what about the interest rates on the cars though? That's also a problem right now.
true. But like you were saying, like it really has calmed down, and the VIX is a really good example of that. Yes, it's volatility index of the S&P, but VIX also is a really good indicator of consumer sentiment and how unshaky you were feeling about investing in the markets and our money really. And yes, it has ticked up. It is, there has been a couple of green days recently, and that's mostly just due to the S&P going down in price because of it's been up and down the last couple of days, but mostly due to the effects of the DXY, the effects of the Fed decisions, GDP, that kind of data. But we are calm, relatively calm right now. 16 on the VIX is a relatively calm period. So I see the money printer being turned on prior to the end of Powell's money printer being turned up a notch prior to Powell's departure. But that combined with what Besant's goals likely will be under the current administration, or in line with the current administration, I think that could provide the right combination of things to where we do see one of those super cycles like we saw before. And it would be very similar to the 2021 cycle, where that super cycle is not just because everything's just that great, everything's just fantastic. It's literally just because the money printer got turned on and everything went up in value. And so that brings everybody in, that hypes everybody up, that it says, all right, now's the time to buy, everything's going up, it's going crazy. Not intrinsic value, it's just the price because our dollar is getting that much weaker, which rather be in an asset where the price is going up than just sitting in the dollar and letting it devalue.
Right.
But I think that's the kind of scenario that would set us up for a big super cycle type event.
So you're saying 20? So it could be a possibility 2026 could be pushed too.
Yeah,
is that what we're saying?
I do.
That'd be nice. I mean, I would sure hope so, because I think this is one of the biggest things. Like I'm thinking like in the next coming, like as the market starts to show up even more strength with what we're seeing right now. I've also been mentioning, taking profits aggressively, because I don't know, it's still not 100% confirmed, right? But if we do get the super cycle, and let's say we do take profits, and we are, doing the laddering effect, there's really nothing that could really go really bad against you. I mean, yeah, maybe some tokens might still run up, but you'll have the opportunity to still, get in with profits at their new lows, or if they have any lows. But if 2026 does get extended, I think that'd be really, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be plenty of things that still lag behind. Like right now, Aptos is absolutely struggling, even though there's been some alt strength. Aptos has been struggling. Yeah. There's plenty of other things out there that will struggle and will continue to struggle, even in the right environment. Now, a lot of it still will come down to repositioning into the proper things that have the proper setups, the proper attributes that you want, and then also proper diversification, not over diversification, not under diversification, but also realizing that, hey, a lot of crypto is really highly correlated, so we don't need to be in three of the exact same thing,
right?
Theoretically. But I think that the last year and a half has really been, especially the last year, is we've gone from, all right, well, this project is a really good idea. I see the utility of this project. I see the value in this project, and therefore I'm going to get into the currency. And we've seen everything just be basically, amalgamate, right? And so we've seen. Let me go over to like the near chart, right? We've seen assets that are completely, unrelated. Let's do like Solana. Let's do Aptos again. Let's do ZK or AVAX, or all sorts of these other things. And we just see that while, let me get rid of the view up here. These are all these different assets that have almost nothing to do with each other, right? Near is a cross chain a cross chain abstraction and AI project first and foremost. Really, yes, there's it is it has its own blockchain, has all that kind of activity. AIOZ, AI, DPIN, Solana, typical layer one. I guess Solana and AVAX are relatively the same. Aptos, different type of layer one. ZK layer two. I mean, we could do gaming tokens. You could throw in what Beam, right?
Yeah, most of
These
them
are
are
all
pretty much all moving together.
yeah, they're all completely different projects. So it's less of a
Yeah.
let's find something that all right, this is a really good project, and more so all right, let's just consolidate,
Yeah.
watch a few
Or
things.
what's also moving, because XRP, HBAR,
Yes,
Cardano, and XLM all move literally right one to one to each other almost. It's
yep,
pretty insane.
yeah.
I literally just found this out last month.
Really,
Yeah, I literally just found this out last month. I knew XRP and XLM had a
yeah.
correlation, but I never knew Cardano. Like our Cardano also has a correlation to this.
That's just because Cardano is not actually being utilized for what it was created for. Cardano is just shilled 2 ways to
Yeah.
Friday.
Well, if you remember, like pretty sure most people that probably came into crypto early on, these were the first selection of tokens they definitely bought:
Yeah,
XRP, Cardano, XLM, and HBAR.
yeah, and the 2 year baloney, they all dealt with the same thing. But I mean, they have been around for a while. They're what I like to just call the centralized tokens. They are a lot more centralized than most of the other things out there, right?
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for HBAR compared to the other ones, mostly just due to the consortium structure that it has. And then also, I mean, I like the hashgraph technology. I think that's cool. But setting up as a consortium rather than like Ripple, where Ripple does some really shady things with their currency, and I mean their ledger, a lot of shady dealings with XRP. Though there's plenty of really good things that they do as well. I think that the consortium structure for a centralized entity that I would like to trade is a very healthy way to go. But HBAR is actually one that we talked about in Jim's, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago.
So this is one of the biggest things
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and ask you. What do you think with with everyone saying that XRP is going to fully replace the Swift system, and it's going to be the biggest technology coin ever? Now with a lot of other technologies that we have, a lot of layer ones, we have layer twos now. Like, do you think that they still have the strength to that, or do you think now because we have more blockchains, that boat's off the rails already?
I don't think that it's been on that track for a long time now.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do cross-border payments and remittances. Yeah, I can do that with practically every other blockchain out there,
Yeah, exactly.
right? My coworkers are in Poland, Dubai, Jordan, Canada. Shout out to Travis out in Canada. But yeah, I can send them money, no problem. Heck, I transacted with Dubai on a regular basis, right? It's that's cross border. I'm not having to deal with any issues on that. So that edge is absolutely gone. But I mean, you've got a lot of other things going on too. I mean, heck, Swift isn't just sitting here twiddling their thumbs saying, "All right, we're just gonna go extinct and not let anything happen." They've been dealing with blockchain technology for years now. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe implementation's taken longer than expected, but have we ever known any traditional payment rails system to be expeditious? No, not at all. I mean, heck, XRP was I mean, they've almost been going on a decade now. Yes,
Yeah.
there's SEC issues, this, that, the other, but no, I don't think that XRP is the savior that a lot of people make it out to be. That said, the degree in which people love it and all the free marketing that XRP gets as a result of these people, I absolutely see it going, to $5, $6 beyond. It's
Yeah.
going to be hard for me to say otherwise. I mean,
I
I
have
can
the
sit
same
here
thoughts
and
too.
yeah,
I think XRP. I said the maximum that I really see it hitting, like if we do have like this crazy altcoin run, is like $12. But like I think it's not an unrealistic number now. I mean we're gonna be approaching what, $4 very soon.
Yeah, the
So
450, $6.50 range. I think both of those are very
and
reasonable.
I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to have retail FOMO kick in. We're going to have people saying no, this thing's not going to go up. So you're going to have a lot of shorts, and I think what's going to cause the price is going to be a short squeeze. That's what I personally think is what's going to bring in the value too. What we're going to be seeing here. But yeah, I'm going to be wrapping this up. Do you have any tokens that you would go ahead and that you have your eyes on, or that you would recommend having your eyes on
Oh,
in
of
coming
course.
days,
Nothing
weeks?
is financial advice or tax advice, everything for educational purposes, of course. But yeah, there's absolutely some tokens that I'm looking at, and it's less of a, okay, well, what's gonna get me to the moon right now? Those that don't know me, I err on the side of a conservative crypto investor. I do absolutely dabble in altcoins. It's just a very small portion of my portfolio, but I'm not trying to do moonshots every single day, right? So I'm looking at these tokens that have shown a ton of strength recently, not that Aptos chart that's just kind of dwindling away and saying, all right, forget about me, right? I'm looking at the bigger narratives and looking at these tokens that have again been really strong, and Curve is one that's very much still on my radar. There is a really strong double top structure that, let me pull this up. So barring all of this, sorry, not double top. We were looking at a triple top this last week. Looking at the neckline, so many tokens broke underneath that. So many things said, "Oh no, let's go down." Oh, and Curve just held strong throughout that, and heck, they even went up stronger. We're coming down, maybe retesting the neckline one more time. But I'm looking at Curve at a lower price and saying, hey, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Athena, another one that has a lot of volume, has had a lot of strength recently. So ENA, really big one. I mean, heck, if we look on rwa.xyz in the stablecoin section, Athena, their stablecoins, USDTB and USDE, have reached a market cap of, I believe, almost $8 billion. But over the last month, that alone has gone up, I think, 44% as of yesterday. 44% on the stablecoin market cap alone for Athena's products. So I see a lot of value on Athena. Has again had this really nice
You have a
breakout.
nice chart. Really nice chart.
Really nice chart. I like that pullback. I mean, if you're looking at maybe like 55, 56 cents somewhere in there as a potential entry, I mean, heck, 60 cents ain't even that bad. But yeah, Curve, ENA, Aave, Aave has pulled back nicely, looking at 255 right this second as a potential entry. Nice pullback on the fib there. 225, probably secondary entry there. Yeah, I am still watching IP. I might trade based off of it, but I mean the strength is, I mean, it's a bit gone from the station right the second. Absolutely would want to retrace it back into the lower fives, mid fives at least, before acting on story. And been watching Onyx Coin XCN. Wrong chart, not the Poloniex chart. Onyx Coin. So it's onto a fib there. It's kind of just been consolidating this longer term, pennant now. I'm expecting some sharp movement. This is a higher risk, higher reward type breakout, but this structure's it's the pressure's there. It's absolutely, it's like a pressure cooker that's just boiled up. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Nice. That's a really good pick. I really enjoyed having you here today, Tyler. It's always an honor to have you.
Happy New Year.
I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers did too. Hopefully, we can go ahead and have you join us in the future. I know you're very, very busy, so I really appreciate you for taking this time. Once again, guys, Tyler is our head of research here at Decentralized Masters. He's giving out a lot of gems with over 80% win rates. So yeah, very smart guy. It was an honor to have you, Tyler, as always. Any other final words?
Oh no, it was a pleasure to be here. Hope to come back again soon.
Yeah, we definitely have to make it happen. With that being said, guys, I hope you all have a good one. Appreciate you for being here, Tyler, and I hope you guys all left with a lot of really good information and wrote down those tokens, because I did. But with that being said, I hope you all have a good one. Take care, and I'll catch you guys on office hours. Make sure to join Tyler if you are part of our community. With that being said, I hope you all have a good one. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Adios, y'all.